Hello guys, I hope you all are doing well. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create this sidebar with multiple depth of side menu inside it. So what do I mean by that? So if I were to click here, as you can see, the general setting have another submenu inside it, and this contact item here has another submenu inside it. So we have 3 depth of submenu. The same way this profile here have a submenu inside it. Here this settings also have a submenu inside it, and inside the settings we have this billing, which once again have a submenu inside it. So we can have infinite depth of submenu if you want it, and everything here is data driven. So here on the left side, as you can see, I have this sidebar.json, which is a JSON array, and our sidebar here, all the items here are rendered according to this array. So this array basically consists of objects. So each object, as you can see, have a title. So title is basically just this text. Then optionally they can have an icon. So as you can see, some items have icons, some does not. So the icon is an optional property. And then we have the path. So path is basically where this link takes us. So if I click here, as you can see, this goes to the report bug. So right now I haven't implemented routing, but you can do it on your own. That's not a big deal. Now all of our object can also have a children's array inside them. If we have a children array, that means our item or our link here will have a submenu inside it as well. So as you can see, we have this home about contact, and we have this home about contact here. Now the contact once again have a children property, which is an array of objects. So again this has a submenu inside it, which is why this have this drop down icon, and if we click on it, we'll be able to see we have a submenu inside that. So this is very flexible. So if we wanted to have another item, all we have to do is add an object here. So for example, we can say title. The title can be, let's say, test, and again we can have an icon. So icon can be whatever icon you want. We can have a path like so, save, and as you can see, another item was added. So this is very flexible, and here I'm using it as a sidebar, but if you want it, you could use it as accordion. You can use it for your FAQ section, whatever you want. The concept or the technique will remain the same, so you can just learn it from here and implement the logic in many ways. So this should be very helpful for you. So I hope you're really excited. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this window, and I have this new window here where I have created a new app by running npx create react app. So create -react -app, and I called it my app. So you just have to type this npx create react app my app and hit enter, and a folder called my app will be generated, which will be our newly created react app. So now we can cd into it. So we can say cd my app, and we can start our development server by running npm start. As you can see, our React app now is served on localhost /3000, and this is a basic React app that we get out of the box. So let's start modifying the folder structure. So here we have a lot of files that we don't need, so let's start deleting them. So I don't need the app.css, so I'm going to delete it. I don't need the test file, so app.test.js, I'm going to delete it also. I don't need the logo.svg. I don't need the report web vitals, and we don't need the setup.test as well. So now we only have 3 files left, so let's start working on them. So the app.js, here we don't need the logo or app css, we have deleted them. And here for now, let's just say hello like so, and I like to delete the semicolons also. You don't have to do it. Save. And now in our index.js, we can remove the report web vitals and these lines here. And if I were to save it, as you can see, now we have this basic app. Okay, now let's start building our project, which will be this simple app here. We don't have much content. We'll mainly be focusing on the sidebar. So let's go to our app. Here I don't want this app class. Instead I want a class of main. Inside that we're going to have a div with a class of sidebar. So class name equals to sidebar. For now, let's just say hello. And we can have another div. This one will have a class name of container. So class name equals to container. And again we can have some dummy text here, so hello again. Okay, now let's style them. So let me close this one, open up index.css. We can delete all this here. First let's target everything. So asterisk, we're going to say margin 0, so margin to 0, and we're also going to say padding to 0, and let's also say box sizing to border box. So box sizing equals to border box, and let's target our HTML and our body, and both of them will have a height of 100 VH, so 100 viewport height. And then let's just target our body, and the body will have a font family. So font family of Arial, you can use any font you want. And I'm also going to say font size the 16 pixel, which is the default font size. And now let's target our main. So the main will have a display of flex, so display flex. So now both of our hello is side by side. Now let's target our sidebar. The sidebar will have a width of 260 pixel, and we can say flex the shrink to 0, so this won't shrink. So as you can see, now this is taking 260 pixel of the width. Let's also add a background, so we can say background color. We're going to say RGBA, and this will be 22, 22, 22, and the opacity will be 1. Save, and this is how this look like. Now I'm also going to say our main will have a height of 100 VH, and our sidebar will have a height of 100%, so 100%, and overflow to auto. So if we don't have enough height, we can simply scroll. So here, if I were to open up every single item, so this one, we can open up this one. As you can see, now we can scroll through it, so no item will be hidden. Okay, let's go here. Our body, let's say the color will be white, so hashtag FFF, like so. And now we can see the text here, but we can't see the text here, but that's okay, our main focus is here. So just to make it look like this, I'm going to copy the content of the right section here. So let me open up the old file. From here we can go to our app.js and simply copy this content here. So Ctrl C, and let's paste it to our new project, which is this one. Let's go to our app component here, we can paste it. So Ctrl V. We again have this container class. Let's go here, and here are text, we can see them because the color is white. So here we have a h1 with the class of title with this text, then we have a paragraph text with the class of info and with some more text, and finally we have a button with the class of btn and it says explore now. And let's also copy the css to save our time. I think this is our finished project, and from here I'm going to copy the styles for our container. So Ctrl C, minimize. Let's go here and we can paste it, let's say above our sidebar. Ctrl V, and we have an error. That is because, as you can see, if I scroll up and about here, we're saying we're trying to access an image from our public folder, but in our public folder we don't have that image yet. So I'm going to drag and drop the image, which is this image here. And now everything is working, and I'll leave the link to the finished code in the video description, from where you can get the banner image and the CSS files. So our container here has a flex group 1, so it can take all the available width here. Actually we don't need this background color here now, so we can save. We're setting the padding to 2 em, so we have a little bit of padding on top and the left right side. And then we're setting the background image to image, which is this image here, but the image is very light. So if I were to remove this, so let me just remove this, Ctrl X, Ctrl S. As you can see, the image is very white, so our text is not that readable. So that is the reason we are adding an overlay of radial gradient, a radial gradient of RGBA 000 and 40% opacity, and RGBA 000 and 80% opacity. So now we have this darker overlay here. And then we're just simply saying the background size will be covered, background position will be centered, so the image will be centered. I don't think we need the color to be white here, since we already set our body to have a white color. Yeah, nothing changes. So, and then we're setting the display to flex and flex direction to column, so everything will be on top of another. And then we're saying justify content to center, so everything will be on the center and not on the top. We have also set the text align to center, so the text is now center. And then the title have a font size of 3 em. The info, which is this text here, we have this styles, font size of 1.1 em, letter spacing 1 pixel, line height of 1.5, so there's a little bit of space between each line. We have a margin top and bottom to 1.5 em. Color is almost white but not completely white, so as you can see about here, not pure white. Okay, then the button have a margin 0 and left right is auto. After that we have removed the border and outline. We have set some padding on the top, bottom and left right. Font size to 1 em and letter spacing of 1 pixel, so each character have a little bit of space. After that we have set a little bit of box shadow, font weight to bold, text transform to uppercase, border radius to 3 pixel, and we have set a background color and a color. Okay, so this was basically just our setup. So now we can work on our sidebar. So let me go to app.js. Here I'm going to create a separate component for our sidebar. So let me remove this code here, so Ctrl X, and in the source let's create a new file and let's put it inside a components folder. So inside the components folder we are going to have a sidebar.js, which will be a React component, and here we can say export default function, we're going to call it sidebar. Here we're going to return some HTML, so return. We can just return again the sidebar with hello text for now. Let's go here, and now we have to import our sidebar. So we are going to say import sidebar from components / sidebar, like so. So now we can use our sidebar here, so we can simply say sidebar, and here is our sidebar again. Okay, inside the sidebar we're going to have a item, sidebar item. So each of these here will be an item. So in our components, let's create a new file called sidebar item.js. we're again going to say export default function sidebar item, and again we have to return some HTML, so return. Let's have a div here, so div, let's just say hello world again, save, and let's use it in our sidebar component. So here we are going to say import sidebar item from ./sidebar, since we are already in this components folder, and let's try to use it. So here we are going to say sidebar item, and if we go here, as you can see, it says hello world. Okay, now let's try to make it look like an actual sidebar item. So we're going to give this div a class, so we're going to say class name equals to sidebar item. Inside that we're going to have another div. This div will have a class name, so class name of sidebar title. Okay, inside it let's have a span tag, so span, and here let's just say general, so general. You can see it says general. Okay, I also want these icons here, so for the icons we are going to use bootstrap icon. We are not going to be using bootstrap, we are only going to be using the icons. So simply say bootstrap icons CDN, so bootstrap icons CDN, and click on this cdnjs.com link and click on some files are hidden, click to show all files. So after that you can simply copy this one, so bootstrap icons.min.scss, click on this icon here, so copy link tag is copied. Now we can go to our public and index.html, which is here. After this link tag here we can paste our copied tag, so Ctrl V. So this is the link, CDN link to bootstrap icons file, save it, and nothing have changed yet. But now we can use the I tag, so I, just like font awesome icons, we can use the bootstrap icon by giving it a class name. So class name, the class name have to start with bi and the name of the icon, for example bi-list. As you can see, now we have this list icon. Okay, we don't want the list icon, we want the settings icon. So let's again search for bootstrap icons, so bootstrap icons, and here this is the official link for bootstrap icons. So here let's try to search for settings. So for the name of settings icon will be gear fill, like so. Ctrl C, and you can paste it, Ctrl V, save, and here is our icon. Okay, now we need to have a drop down icon here. So as you can see in our finished project we have this drop down icon here, so we have to do that. So here, and let's again go to our bootstrap icons. Here let's search for down. So if you scroll down, as you can see we have chevron down. This is the icon we want. Let me copy this, Ctrl C. Again we can have an I tag, class name equals to bi-chevron down, save it, and we have this down icon here also. Okay, let's style our sidebar title. Let's copy the class here, so sidebar item, so Ctrl C. Let's go to our index.css and scroll all the way down. Let me close the sidebar. Let's target our sidebar item. So our sidebar item will have a padding of 1 em, save it, and this is how this looks like. It will also have a font size of 1.2 em, I think 1.2 em. We don't need the color. The text decoration we don't need it either. The display will be blocks, save it. This is how this look like. And we are also going to say when we hover on it, so we are going to say dot sidebar item colon hover. The background color will be a white color, so transparent white color, so 255 255 255, and the opacity can be 0.1. so if you hover on it we get this white background, and let's see. Yeah, should be pretty close to what we have. Now let's target our sidebar title, so dot sidebar dash title. The sidebar title will have a display of flex, and we are also going to say justify content, justify content to space between, so space between like so. Okay, now we want this icon here to have a little bit of white space on the right side, so we're going to say, let me just copy this, Control C. So inside the sidebar title we have a span tag, inside that we have a I. Now you could have said margin right, but instead I'm going to give it a width, fixed width. That way it does not matter if some icons are different shape, will have even amount of white space. So first we are going to say display of inline block. After that we can say width to something like 2 em, and here it is. And I think 2 em is too much, let's say 1.5 em, and this is much closer to what we had in our finished project. And it looks like we have more white space on top and bottom than our previous. So here sidebar item, the top and bottom padding can be, let's say 0.75 em. We don't have to make it absolutely perfect, this is good enough. Okay, now when we hover on this icon, our cursor should become pointer. So let's go our sidebar item. This will also have a class of toggle button. So inside the sidebar title we have this toggle button. So let's go to our CSS file. Let me just copy this, Control C, Control V, and dot toggle button. We're going to say cursor to pointer. So when we hover on them, our cursor becomes pointer. Okay, now as you can see, our item can also have some content inside it. So for that I'm going to create another div, and this div will have a class name. So class name of sidebar content, so sidebar dash content. So just say hello here, and here is our content. Let's go to our sidebar, let's go to our CSS, and let's see our sidebar. Here is our sidebar, and for the font size I'm going to cut it from here, so Control X and paste it here. So only the title here will have bigger font size. Yeah. Okay, now let's target our sidebar content. So dot sidebar content. The sidebar content will have some padding on the top side. So we're going to say PT for padding top of, let's say 0.25 em. So just a little bit of padding on the top side. Let's see. And I think this should be good enough. Okay, and our icon here should also be pointing above when our content is visible. So what we can do is, let me just copy this, so Control C and paste it, Control V. So we can say transform. So transform equals to rotate to let's say 180 degree. So now it is facing on the top side, and here we can also say transition. So transition equals to transform to 0.3 seconds, save. And I also want to give a transition to our sidebar items, so Control V, and the transition will be our background. So background, okay, let me just copy this here, so Control C, paste it, and the duration can be, let's say 0.15 second. So just a little bit of transition. Now of course by default our arrow should not be pointing above, so what we are going to do is we are going to say dot sidebar dot open. So when our sidebar has a class of open, only in that case the toggle button should be facing on the top side, otherwise it will be facing on the down side. And we are going to do something similar here. So by default our sidebar content will have a height, so height of 0, so we should not be able to see it. And we're also going to say overflow to hidden, so hide any overflow, so now we can see the content. But we're going to say when our sidebar has a class of open, so dot sidebar dot open dot sidebar content, and the height will be auto. So let's go to our sidebar. So here if we had a class of open, okay, here in our CSS it should be sidebar item, not just sidebar. So let me just select both of them and say sidebar item. So save. As you can see now it is facing above and the content is visible. If we were to remove this, so by toggling the open class we should be able to open and close our items. So we're going to create a state here. So here we're going to say import use state from React, and let's define a state. So here we're going to say const open, so open, set open. By default it will be use state, and we can say false. And here instead of simply saying sidebar item, so let me cut it, we are going to conditionally adding class. So here we are going to check if our open is set to true. If our open is set to true, in that case the class name will be sidebar item and open. Otherwise the class name will simply be sidebar item, no open class. Save. So as you can see, we don't have the open class, so if we were to set it to true by default, as you can see now it is opened. Okay, let's go back here, and this icon here will have a click event listener. So here we're going to say on click. When it is click, we're going to run this function. What this will do is call the set open function. So set open and set it to opposite of what open was previously, so exclamation mark open. Save it. So now if we were to click on it, as you can see, we can open and close our sidebar item. Okay, now of course we don't want to just have one sidebar item, we want to have a JSON object and we want to loop through it. So again, I'm going to open up my sidebar and let's go to our finished project, which is this one, and let's simply just copy this code here. So Control C, minimize it, and in our source folder I'm going to create a new file. So new file, I'm going to create a new folder called data. Inside that we're going to say sidebar.json, like so, and we can paste what we copied, which is simply a JSON object. And again, I'm going to leave the link to the finished project in the video description, so you should be able to just copy paste it. Okay, so now in our sidebar component, so here let's import that data. So here we're going to say import, let's just call it items. So items from, and this will be // data / sidebar.json. Now we want to loop through all our items, and for each of them we want to render one sidebar item here. So let me cut it. So Control X, and here we can say items.map. For each of the items we are going to get an item, and here we're saying sidebar. For the key, let's use index. So we're going to say index. So now we also want to get our index along with the item, so we can wrap it inside parentheses. We want item and our index. So for each of them we're rendering a sidebar, and the key can be the index. Save it. As you can see, now we have so many items. Okay, so for each object in our JSON array we're rendering one sidebar item. So of course not item should be the same. So in our sidebar we'll also receive a prop called item. Let me close this. So now in our sidebar.js we can also pass the prop. So we're going to say item equals to item. Let's go to our sidebar item.js. Here instead of saying general, we can say item the title. As you can see, now we have different icons. Now one problem here is, as you can see, some have submenus, some don't. So we are going to conditionally return two types of markups. So instead of this, so I'm going to control / to comment it out, and I'm going to say if item. So if item.children's. So if our item has array inside it, that means it has a submenu. In that case we can return this. So let me just copy this. So Control X, Control V. Let me just fix the indentation. Tab and then Control / to uncomment it. Save. Let's go here. Click on refresh. Okay, it looks like we have some error. That is because we have to return something even if the condition is false. So we're going to say else. If this is not the case, in that case we can return sidebar item. And here we're only going to have a title and the text here. So save. So as you can see, this is working now. Okay, let's see here what is the problem here. Why are we not getting the toggle icon here? Okay, we have spelled it wrong. It should be children's, CHILDRENS. So children's. Okay, so now as you can see, some of our items have this icon, some don't. Okay, now the icon should also be conditionally rendered. So instead of simply having an icon here, we're going to first check if our item has an icon. So we're going to say if item.icon. Only in that case we are going to have a itext. So the class name will be item.icon. So each of our icon now have this separate icons. Let's do the same in our else block. So let me just copy this, Control C. You can paste it here, Control V. Okay, now the items that don't have a submenu inside that should be styled differently. So here I'm not going to have this div here, so let me just delete this div. Let me delete this div here and fix the indentation like so. And here instead of using the div, we're going to use the a tag and the href. So we're going to say href will be, again we're going to use data binding. Here we can say item dot path or simply a hashtag. So as you can see, now they are styled differently. And if I go to our data.json or sidebar.json, as you can see, we have a path property. Some objects have a path, some don't. So if they don't, it will be simply a hashtag. So let's style it. So let's say let's style it a bit differently also. So the sidebar item will also have a class of plane here if it does not have a submenu. So let me just copy this, Control C. Let's go to our CSS file and we can paste it here, Control V. Let's say dot sidebar dot plane. So sidebar with a class of plane. Again it will have a color of white, so hashtag FFF. Let's go here, and I don't think we need the span here either, so we can delete it. So like so, save. Actually let's just separately style our item here. So let's go to our CSS, let's target this, Control C, paste it, Control V, and then target the I tag. This will also have a width of 2 em, and the display will be inline block. So display inline dash block, save. And now we have these styles applied also. Actually it was 1.5 I think, so 1.5 em. Let's try to make it 1.7. Since our font size here is smaller, we need more width, so about 1.7 is good enough. Okay, by default we don't want any underline, so we're going to say underline. We're going to say text decoration, so text decoration to none, but when we hover on them we do want an underline. So let me just copy this, paste it. We're going to say colon hover. In that case we're going to say text decoration to underline, and we can also say cursor to pointer. Actually cursor should be pointer by default, so let's see. Yeah, our cursor is by default pointer, and we have this underline. Okay, now we don't want just the hello, we want all the submenus should be rendered. So let's see how we can do that, and this one will be very easy. So here we're simply going to have to say item.childrens.map. so for each of our children we're going to have a child and index, and we're again going to recursively use our sidebar. So we are recursively using the sidebar item inside sidebar item component, and we are passing the child as a prop. Save it and click on refresh. As you can see, we already have our sidebar working, but one thing you'll notice is, let me refresh, if I click here, as you can see the inner submenu is also open by default, so we don't want that. So let's go here, let's go to our submenu. When our submenu item has a class of open, the inner toggle button should not have this style, only the immediate one. So here we simply have to use this character here, so the greater than sign, and we can do it here also. Save. So and now it should be working. So as you can see, only this submenu is open, this one is not. But if we click on it, this one is also open. If we click here, we can open this one. If we click here, we can open this one. We can open the submenu. We can open the submenu inside the submenu, and so everything is working. Actually let's go to CSS, let's go to our item, so sidebar item. Here we are simply going to say border radius, so border radius of 3 pixel, let's say 5 pixel. And yeah, now it is very similar to what we had in our finished project. So this should be all for this video, and I hope you have really enjoyed it and learned something new. If so, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and if you have any video suggestion, make sure to leave it in the comment section. I'll try my best to cover it. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.